Pac-12 Pate, as you know, is tattooed on my lower back. It's been my moniker since as long as I can remember. I was a little youth walking around West Central Georgia, and everyone else was SEC, but not Pac-12 Pate here. We are headed. The Every Given Saturday tour is headed to UCLA, Oregon. Apparently, Jesse thought we were driving, and good for him. You know, it's a very novice approach to the Every Given Saturday tour. No, we'll fly out to Portland later this week, but we are looking very much forward, and then we'll drive down to Eugene, of course, to the Every Given Saturday tour, first time ever at Autzen Stadium. This is a 3:30 Eastern time kickoff on Fox. It is obviously 12:30 local time. Why is that good? Because it allows us to catch a red-eye back and be in Nashville the next morning. This is the first top 10 matchup in Autzen Stadium since when? When would you guess is the last top 10 game that's been in that stadium? I thought like 2011, so it's more recent than that. It was 2014. Chip Kelly, he's been back before, but he's playing in Autzen Stadium. That is noteworthy. UCLA versus top 10 teams on the road under Chip Kelly. Not a huge sample size. They're 0-2, but the average margin of defeat has been 37 points per game. So let's move over that, because if you like UCLA, that's not fun to hear. One cannot help but pull up the trusty eye, Josh, and I've got the fancy paid weather apps, but you could just go to the basics, the casual apps, if you will, and you see it's probably going to pour this weekend. It has not rained in Eugene, Oregon for like a month, but leave it to us to book a trip up there and have the weather flip entirely. It was below freezing in Nashville last night. We're going to get a deluge? Whatever the word is, a lot of rain. We're going to get it in Eugene this weekend. And so that begs the question from a football stance, who does that favor? And the immediate answer that I think most of us would give is, well, doesn't that favor the team that's got the number one running back in the Pac-12, Zach Charbonnet? And that's, of course, UCLA. Maybe or maybe not. Because in this game last year, Mr. Charbonnet had his second worst rushing performance of his career. So are you looking at career stats or are you looking at matchups? Because this matchup was not particularly kind in a narrow loss to Oregon last year. It was the worst. I mean, it's 35 rushing yards. That's what he had in this game last year, 56 total. And Oregon has given up about 3.65 yards per carry defensively. So, not terrible rushing statistics for the Ducks. Now, Oregon, and the reason why I'm looking at this thing as kind of a wash, no pun intended, if weather is a factor, and I think it may be, Oregon runs the ball just fine. Oregon's got the fourth best yards per carry in FBS. They just don't do it with one individual person. But the real question for me is whether their pass defense can hold up. You know, if it is within reason, conditions-wise, to be able to throw the ball, Oregon pass defense, man, look, you can try and dismiss these numbers all you want to, but they're real. Like, they are written from Stats and Info right here on this piece of paper in front of me. Stetson Bennett looked like Joe Montana against them in week 1. 80% completion, 368 yards through the air, okay? Cam Ward with Washington State threw for 375, 77% completion percentage. Now, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is a 74.8% completion percentage guy this year. So you're seeing it on the screen right now. If they give up that kind of day, it's a long afternoon. That just means you got to outscore them. But on the other side, you see Bo Nix over there. He's at 70% himself. Do we get good Bo? Do we get bad Bo? Do we get big game Bo? So I don't think he's done it enough on the big stage to warrant that nickname. But he could. Take it from someone who followed him in high school. He could, absolutely. Clearly the biggest factor, given, number one, the matchup, and number two, potential weather conditions, is quarterback mobility. Both of these teams have it. I want you to listen to these two numbers because this is what will decide this game. Bo Nix, average yards per carry is at 8.3. Past two games, it's been over 15. In October, here's a producer Jesse special. He walks in, anytime he's smiling, he walks in with a stat. He said, hey, that yards per carry for Nix is good, but 15.1 in October. So take it to the bank. Something about jack-o'-lanterns being on the front porch every block really makes Bo Nix move a little bit faster. But DTR is at 5.5 yards per carry too. So both of those guys can extend plays, they can improvise, they can move the pocket, and when all else breaks down, they can go get you a first down. That stuff is so hard to predict. All you can go on are these numbers, but that in reality is probably going to decide this game. Let's take a look at what the model thinks. Let's take a look at the Vegas number. If you're listening on podcast, at the time we are recording this, the number is Oregon -6. And that totals all the way almost up to 70. The model is sort of in line with Vegas. We've got it one notch higher. We've got it Oregon -7. And I got to be real with you. I think UCLA has it in them to keep this very close. I do expect Oregon to get the win here. But if you made me against the spread make a selection, and we do because that's what a prediction is, I would take UCLA in the points. So I think it's going to be razor tight, one possession game. I think Oregon's going to win. If I had to go straight up, if I had to go against the number, I would take UCLA. A reminder, right now, the odds to win the Pac-12 championship. Oregon is the favorite at plus 160, and guess who's right behind them at plus 190? That would be the Bruins. Essentially what that is this game. And you got a little bit fatter juice on UCLA because they're the road team, but that's essentially what Vegas is telling you. This game will definitively determine the favorite in the Pac-12, and of course, you just saw USC and Utah play last week. They're 3-4 right now. So USC is off this week, as is Utah. So we'll see how these odds look come Sunday. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Make sure you like the video, and please subscribe to the channel. Not just for me, that's how we keep this entire thing free.